Hey everybody, welcome to this episode of the Disc Golf Answer Man. All right, let's drop back into the questions.
Hello, gentlemen. My questions are at the peak of a little emotion since I just lost my Lucid Maverick yesterday.
Oh, no.
Dang it, man.
And an Opto Explorer a few weeks ago.
Dang it, man.
First, why haven't we got to a place where all discs float? Is the technology too expensive, or does it change the flight pattern too much? What are your thoughts on that? And finally, speaking about the Maverick that I just lost, my arm speed is similar to Bobby's as I throw the trespass as my driver, and the Maverick is a really nice straight thrower when I put some speed on it. I wanted it to go straight, do something similar on a shorter hole at a local course, probably about 250, and I had to ease up on the power so it wouldn't go too far. And so with that, the flight seemed to be towards a fairly good location until it faded pretty strong at the end and skipped into the lake. Do you recommend something different for shorter, straight throws? And can you talk about how speed affects a disc's flight pattern such as the Maverick? Thank you, gentlemen, and I'll look forward to hearing from you.
From my perspective, I have to make sure that there are times when I've thrown the Maverick and I thought, well, that didn't do what I thought it was going to do.
Yeah.
And then I realized, oh, the wind.
Mm-hmm.
I really have to
be part of it.
Yeah, I have to pay attention to the wind. If it's a nice headwind, it's not going to behave like I want my Maverick to do.
Mm-hmm.
Now it doesn't have to be. Now I've thrown the Maverick in some wind, but I'm talking like a rather stronger headwind. I stop and think, man, I should not have thrown that one. I probably should have thrown my little more stable Renegade to fight that wind a little bit more. As far as the speed, my understanding is, and also I have to make sure that I throw it well enough that it
does what it's supposed to.
Yeah, it got the disc up to speed to do what it's supposed to. Because if you don't get it up fast enough, then it's just going to fade and die. Yep. And so it may look good.
It's the same as any disc.
Well, yeah. It may come out of your hand looking pretty good, but then it's going to lose its speed faster toward the end, and that's when it starts to kind of dump. That's why a disc goes to the left, because it loses speed. You know, I'm sure there's other factors, but that's something to think about. So that's kind of what I'm thinking.
Yeah. And anytime, all right, so discs, as the rim gets wider, their level of forgiveness gets lower, right? So putters are pretty forgiving. You could throw them slow, you could throw them fast. If they're thrown a little offline, they're not going to punish you quite as much as a distance driver will most of the time. Fairway drivers are in the middle of that spectrum. You do still have to get them up to speed in order for them to act how you want them to act. And anytime you slow down on a shot, right, whether it's a fairway driver or distance driver, that disc is going to act more overstable than it normally does, right? So if I throw a Maverick for me 100%, it's going to pop up to flat and ride to the right. If I throw it 80% on a little bit hyzer, it's going to pop up to flat and probably hold flat for a long time, maybe finish flat. If I throw it at like 60%, hyzer to maybe almost flat, but still finish to the left. So it really does have to do with the speed and controlling the spin so that it does stay in the air long enough. Anytime you ease off something with a sharper rim, the level of forgiveness is going to be smaller than if you're throwing something with a smaller rim and a slower spinning speed. For me, if I was throwing a hole like that, 250-foot hole, I always like to disc down just a little bit and just throw not quite a full power shot, but something where I'm really getting into the disc so that I don't have the same issue that you're talking about where it just fades out too much. If I throw an EMAC Truth, same line as I throw a Maverick or an Explorer, at the end of the flight, it's going to act much less overstable than that disc, even though their stability is probably pretty similar.